Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is smash that like button like it's your Alabama cousin, so it reaches a wider audience. And now on with the memes. Number one in America, Asian women now make more money than white dudes. I guess the gender wage gap is more about race than it is about gender, or more specifically sex. But the real question is why do Asian women make more money than white guys? Is it because Asian women don't have time to play video games? Is it because they're eligible for hiring quotas that white men are not eligible for? I think it's IQ and the fact that they work harder than every other group. Moving on, this Swedish politician who fought for equality and open borders is beheaded in the Congo. Women don't know when to stop with compassion, and from what I hear these days, it's not much safer in Sweden. I think this woman should be nominated for the Darwin Award for 2024. Looks like karma bit her in the behind. I'm not sure if this is a real story or not, but I'm sure that something like this out there happened somewhere. Number 3, if anyone is wondering what an overweight man looks like with trans surgery, here you go. Their chests end up looking like microwaved burritos with a couple of pepperoni slices added for spice. This individual also thinks that mullet is a nice touch, which it isn't, because no one will want to touch him or her. Maybe this person did one of those homemade top surgeries that I've been hearing so much about. Looks like they surgically removed their belly button as well. Up next, continuing the trans theme, it looks like there's a report out by the UN revealing the staggering number of medals that female athletes lost to trans opponents. Looks to me like men are better at beating women than women are. My generation had women. Your guys' generation has to wonder if it is a woman. Women won't say anything about this injustice even though we all know women's sports is no place for failed male athletes. Number 5, the ADL, or Anti-Defamation League, is caught defaming white Americans by claiming that right-wing extremists are responsible for the vast majority of extremist-related killings, which is false. How shocking, and I've been on their watch list for years now. I think they should start changing their name to the Defamation League and just remove the anti part. They sound like a criminal organization. I can't believe anyone takes them seriously anymore. Moving on, Mia Khalifa has divorced her husband because of irreconcilable differences. Most likely she wasn't willing to put out with her own husband after putting out with other actors earlier in the day. What kind of a simp do you have to be to marry a porn star? I'm surprised that he didn't go crazy like the guy in Boogie Nights named Little Bill. Also, she's not a former American actress. She's a current OF model. Number 7, this image should prove to you that makeup and cosmetics are a form of witchcraft. The magic is so powerful with waterproof makeup that you can't even see the real her if you take her swimming on the first date. It wasn't too long ago in our history when only prostitutes wore makeup or had tattoos. These days there's no difference between them and housewives. But let's face it, most of us would still bang her with or without the makeup. Up next, imagine being a wealthy sports ball player who thinks he's going to be a dad and gets his kid's name tattoo on his arm only to then find out that you're not the father after a DNA test. If guys like this are being cheated on, then what hope is there for everybody else? Even the 666 guys are getting cheated on. Number 9, I'll probably do something like this next Halloween. Put up mannequins of a bride and groom with a sign saying, "This is the scariest thing I could think of," and it would actually be accurate. What would make this even scarier is if she had blue hair and a nose ring. I'm pretty sure something like this would mean that none of the women in the neighborhood would ever talk to me again, and would probably tell their husbands and children to also never speak to me. Moving on, CNN put this article out saying that the hottest trend in executive leadership is to bring back the white guy. How about bringing back the most qualified and competent person for the job? Merit is more important than melanin, but they'll never admit that companies bringing in DEI hires are just failing. But they'd rather say white guy instead of meritocracy to stew up racial hatred and point out so-called privilege. Number 11 is a woman that says she only dates men who make 6 figures. Meanwhile, she's got a body count of 100 plus. I guess her high expectations continue and she wants a man's income to match her body counts. A real man gets a woman in her prime with little to no body count. A nice guy gets a woman that's ready for the streets after she's been rolled around hundreds of times in the sheets. The worst women have the highest demands. Up next is a picture of teenagers at a party in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1947. People back then looked like they were so full of life and dressed to the nines. We've gained a lot over the years, but we've also lost a lot. I bet you anything that most of these couples were married a couple of years later and having children. They also had chips, cookies, and Coke there. And yet no one is fat, because food costs 2 or 3 times more than it does today, because there was no industrial farming like we have now. Number 13 looks like crazy cat lady syndrome is real, with cat owners being twice as likely as the rest of the population to develop schizophrenia. The proposed cause is Toxoplasma gondii, a parasite found in domestic cats that gets in your brain and wants you to hang out with the felines, hoping that one of them devours you. This could explain those women that are jumping into lions' pens at the zoo. Here's the good boy that discovered the connection. Moving on, here's a picture of a guy with his wife's personal trainer. Dude is screwed because the trainer is probably screwing his wife and training her cheeks. Either that or the personal trainer is the one in the Yankees hat, which I highly doubt. Then again, odds are the guy's wife looks like a whale, and the trainer on the left clearly has much better options. But if I was that simp on the right, I wouldn't let trainers anywhere near my wife unless they were female. Number 19, here's the look on the Tesla robot's face when you ask it to give you a head for the 4th time today. And just so everyone knows, your behavior will be logged and uploaded. Next thing you know, you'll be getting more virtual girlfriend ads in your email. And just so you know, never trade your old smartphone in for a new one, because companies mine your data and your corn habits and probably help law enforcement build a profile about you. Robots will do the same. Up next, this overweight woman graduated almost 20 years ago, and yet there's still simps from her high school class hitting on her. Yeah, I don't believe it either. And she's probably just talking up her overweight book. But she says that she only dates black men. As a white man, I congratulate black men for taking one for the team. And we white men also allow Hispanics and Asian men to cut ahead of the queue as well. I'll take things that only happen in this woman's mind for 1,000, Alex. Number 17, more young men than ever are leaving the Democratic Party. 51% identified as one in 2016, and now it's down to 39%. This is what happens when the left attacks men and humiliates us for having XY chromosomes. This isn't just in America, but all over the world. But to some extent, it's being counterbalanced with women joining leftoid parties in greater numbers. Eventually, our society will be one that votes for either women or men. I'm predicting that women and simps will have their very own civilization, while the men go off and build one with their sex bots. Moving on, one day I bet that a Tesla bot will watch over you while you sleep while monitoring your breathing and heart rate to protect you from a home invader. But what if someone hacks it and tries to end you while you're sleeping? Then we will have a new assassination tool. Besides, tech companies are already tracking your breathing when you go to sleep when your phone is next to you. It's probably better to put the robot on the porch at night. Number 19, speaking of personal protection, here's Muammar Gaddafi and one of his lady bodyguards back in Cairo in 1994. They were known as the Amazonian Guard. And just look how well that ended when somebody finally ended him. Some of them even betrayed their oath and went against him. If I ever become a dictator, the dumbest thing I could do is hire female bodyguards. Just look at how incompetent they were when Trump was almost assassinated. Up next, so apparently every girl's ex is toxic and abusive, and she's perfect. Yes, women are perfect. Never forget it. Women are always oppressed by their exes, boo friggin' who. The idea is that if they talk poorly about all the men from their past, then you will be far less likely to suspect that she's going to cheat on you when her old boyfriend comes to town and goes downtown on her. Number 21, this woman was hired for a job, but no one told her that she's the only English speaker at her new job in the UK. Looks like the Indians took over the office and wanted to see a white woman's bobs and vagine, because she keeps getting hit on by them. If you want to know what's happening in the UK, it's population replacement. Watch her be called far right simply for complaining about the situation. Ladies, you voted for this. Moving on, this woman fatally poisoned her boyfriend after believing he stood to inherit $30 million, but it was all a scam. But what I want to know is, did she poison him before she figured out that it was a scam or not? That makes a whole world of difference. She was also only his girlfriend, so why would she expect to be entitled to the money? So many questions. But imagine the outcry if a man did that to a woman for money. Number 23, this woke doctor refused to publish a $10 million trans kid study showing that puberty blockers did nothing to help kids' mental health. Of course not. Trans kids, the surgeries and pharmaceuticals are big business. This is also against the Hippocratic Oath. But the results weren't published because the woke oath was probably more important. Also, I don't think we need to spend $10 million to find out what we already know. Here's the doctor saying that if you had your chesticles removed and want them at any other point in life, in the future, then you can get them back. Up next, this article says not to play with your kids. Seriously. Looks like they're continuing to try and destroy the family. But when I was growing up, most of the kids played with each other and not the parents. If the kids are really small, maybe, or you're playing catch with your older kid for sure. But if you overstay your welcome, you could come across as a creepy PDF file. I'm curious about the name of the author. I want to see something. Number 25 and the last one, people are wondering if Anne Hathaway is a vampire because she doesn't appear to be aging. Don't worry, the wall will eventually get to her as well. But it's going to take some time because she stays out of the sun, like a real vampire. The number one thing that anyone can do to keep their face from aging as fast is to stay out of that sun. 80 to 90% of skin aging is from that. She even has 2 children. But Chris Gibson, age 60, has her beat. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Please give this video a like to push it up in the algorithm and so new viewers can find it. If you enjoyed this series and want me to keep making it, then donate at the PayPal and subscribe star links below. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.